All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to our morning devotions. I'm chuckling because I just my stash of Easter candy just got found out because my heart's not good, but everybody see that? Yeah, there we go. The peeps. Anyway, and that was given to me for eating peeps, which I probably deserve. But anyway, that's no way to introduce devotions. But that's what happens at my home. So they only come out around Easter time. They're just pure marshmallow and yellow dye, and they're all bad for you, but they taste good. All right. Anyway, we're in episode 310 in First Chronicles 19, and I just entitled this David's Military Victory, and that's what the whole chapter is about. And it begins with an event that is just misanalyzed, and therefore the men of David are treated poorly, and then everything else in the chapter unfolds from that. And so verse 19 begins this way. It says, "Now it came to pass after this that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, died." So the king of the Ammonites dies, and his son reigned in his stead. All right, that's so there's a funeral going to happen. That's what we're looking at here. And David said, "I will show kindness unto Hunan the son of Nahash. I'm going to I'm going to show kindness to the boy that's going to take his dad's place because his father showed kindness to me." And David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. So he sends people, an envoy from Israel, to the son of the deceased Ammonite king just to comfort him. And this is all just a very favorable thing. All right, there's nothing untoward or deceptive about this. This is just wanting to comfort somebody that's been good to you, so you send an envoy to do that. It says, "So the servants of David came into the land of the children of Ammon to Hunan to comfort him." Now you would think that that would be just a great thing, and this is what happens. When you say there's no good turn goes unpunished, this would be an illustration of it, because he just sends these guys to comfort the son with the passing of his dad. It's very innocent. It's very thoughtful on David's part. It said, but here's what you read in verse 3: because there's animosity in amongst the people towards David and towards Israel, and it's going to be manifested there because they're going to respond in a way that is not appropriate. All right, none of what they're going to say here is true, but they have harbored this against David and the Israelis in their heart, and so they misread what is happening. All right, or they desire to misinterpret what is happening. It says this: "But the princes of the children of Ammon said to Hunan, the son of the deceased king, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father?" And the answer is, yes, he is honoring my father, but this is a rhetorical question with a negative response. Do you think he's coming to honor your dad? Do you think that's really why he's coming? He said, "That he hath sent comforters unto thee." Is that what you think is really happening here? "Are not his servants come unto thee for to search and to overthrow and to spy out the land?" That is, they turned the whole episode upside down. What is meant for good and what is meant for compassion and what is just an appreciation what his dad did, what Nahash did for David in the past, and David's trying to return that kindness. It's all being reversed by these counselors, these princes of the Ammonites, and they're putting all of this in a bad light. They're making it sound like they're coming just to observe and to spy, so that they can come out and invade the land, like any of that's necessary. All right, David doesn't need this. He doesn't need anything that's under the radar. He doesn't need spies. He's got the army that can just defeat anyone. We're going to see that in the following verses, because this turns into a war for no reason. I mean, the things that have happened because of things that were misunderstood or misread. And I just read an article from Hillsdale College in their imprimis about the importance of of speaking with your enemy, of having a good dialogue with your enemy, of being a good negotiator, and the art of negotiating, and how important that is, especially if you're the army that's going to be defeated. If there's some way you can diffuse the situation and win the day by discussing things. Well, these guys don't do this. They assume the worst, and they react on that without any negotiation, without any. They're not sending their Secretary of State to find out what's actually happening before things go to a military level. They just do something very shameful here to those that David sends, and so the princes of the Ammonites here bring all of this destruction on their people and other people, the Syrians and other armies from the east, because of their shameful way they treated David's men, because that shameful treating was already harbored within them. That is, they already don't like David and the Israelis, all right? So he said, and then it says this in verse 4, wherefore Hunan took David's servants. So now the young prince who's going to be the king took these men that came and just to demonstrate kindness on David's part. He takes the men, and then this is the story. They don't hurt them here, but they shame them in a terrible way. So if you could imagine an official envoy from the king that's got, he's extended his reach all over the ancient Near East. So they're coming and they're representing David. So this is important. This is top level, a top level visit by these ambassadors from Israel. If you could just picture that, coming to Ammon, to their dad's, to the Ammonites, to the funeral of Nahash, and Hunan, and to comfort Hunan. Hunan takes these guys. It's just a terrible thing. I mean, the way it's described here, you're saying, well, nobody got killed, but you can't imagine how shameful this was to an official envoy of a neighboring, more powerful nation. This is absolute lunacy, all right? What they do is they shave them. That is, in these days, everybody had a beard, all right? Now, that's not as common practice today. I mean, perhaps more common, but they had beards. It's very common in these days, all right, especially among the Israelis. Our Lord had a beard, okay? And these men are coming with beards. Part of the issue of having a beard, the way it's described, is that you're old enough to grow one, which speaks of maturity, all right? That's the idea, all right? And so he says he shaves them, and he cuts off their garments in the midst hard by their buttocks and sent them away. So they're wearing robes, but they cut the robes in half, essentially, so their behinds are open. That's what this is. All right, you can see their behinds of an official delegation from Israel, from King David. These ambassadors. I mean, David didn't just send anybody over there, okay? This is an official delegation from an official government based in Jerusalem, and they've come to comfort I get his name here, Nahash, after the death of his, Hunan, after the death of his dad Nahash. That's what you're seeing here. And then they cut off their robes so their buttocks are exposed. All right, okay. This is horrible. Now, getting another robe is easy. You just got to throw out the one that's been cut in half and put on something to cover yourself up, which is what happened here. But their beards, how long does it take to grow a beard? For some, it takes a little longer than others, all right? But all of this is just a demonstration of authority and power over these men and to shame them. That's what we're looking at here. And so, and it said, verse 5, it said, and there went certain and told David how the men were served. They told David the way they were treated by these Ammonite princes and by the son of the deceased king. And he sent to meet them, for the men were greatly ashamed. And you can imagine this. All right? A clean-shaven Israeli? No. I mean, and especially because they're older, all right? How long have they been growing these beards? And then it's all gone in an instant. And then, I mean, having themselves shamed because of what they did with their cutting off their robes. And the king said, tarry at Jerusalem, or excuse me, at Jericho, until your beards be grown, and then return. All right. Don't come, just hang out in Jericho, which was a beautiful place, kind of a resort town there along the Jordan River. And so just take a break after what's happened to you. Stay in Jericho. At this time it's just a beautiful place to stay, and until your beards are grown back. All right, so they got the robes, now their beards are grown back. All right, but they were ashamed at all of this. The idea that someone is going to shave you anyway is a violent act, isn't it? Somebody's going to hold you down with a razor or a knife around your face and neck, and they're going to shave you. I mean, this is bad news. I mean, the way it's described here, it's only a few verses, but I mean, this is really bad. It's a threatening thing to have a knife around a guy's face and neck while he's being shaved. All right, and then David says, just wait and let your beard grow back until you come back into Jericho. All right, because of what's happened, and basically after this shame just that was imposed upon you, because they didn't do anything wrong except try to be a good neighbor, and until your beards grow back. And then it says this, verse 6, and when the children of Ammon saw that they had made themselves odious, and the word odious just means that they stink. They are like garbage now in the nose of David. They are like the outhouse in the nose of David because of the way they treated these men. That's what's happened here. When odious just means putrid, stinking, rotten smell. Okay, that's the way the Ammonites say. That's the way David thinks about us now. All right, what happens is he says, Hunan and the children of Ammon, these princes of the Ammonites, sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire them chariots and horsemen out of Mesopotamia. They are going to hire an army because they know they can't do it. So here we are again, going for these big armies in the east along the Euphrates River, all right, which David has already defeated. But they're hiring an army from over there because they need a huge army now, because everybody else on their own has been defeated. Now, so the Ammonites are the hub of this. But the Ammonites know that if they're going to save themselves, they can't do it. So they have to hire, with money, an army from Mesopotamia. Let's keep going. 1,000 talents of silver to hire them chariots and horsemen out of Mesopotamia and out of Syria and out of Zobah. So you have out in Mesopotamia, Zobah, which is in that area too, and the Syrians. All right, they're all joining in this confederacy. That is, the Ammonites are buying mercenaries to fight with them, and this whole battle is because of these princes who already had a disposition to hate Israel and did this shameful thing to that envoy from Jerusalem, from David. That's what's happening here. This is like a snowball, which was there just for nothing. It's like we're all going to build a snowman, which is nice, and then that thing just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling until it's going to crush all these armies. David's going to defeat all these armies. And the way they go about it here, David understands that he's up against it. Now, he's been up against it before, but he is really up against it, because you have the Ammonites, you have Mesopotamia, you have Syria, and you got Zobah. You have a confederacy of all these armies that are now going to go up against David. And so here we go. The ancient Near East at its best, battle after battle. And it said, so they hired 32,000 chariots, and the king of Maacah and his people, who came and pitched before Medeba, and the children of Ammon gathered themselves together from their cities and came to battle. Everybody's there. Okay. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the host of the mighty men. Here we go. We're going to defend our property. Sends Joab, the general, and the host of the army of Israel, the mighty men. And it says, the children of Ammon came out and put the battle in array before the gate of the city, and the kings that were come were by themselves in the field. So the kings are by themselves. They're like overlooking things. The army is in array. Now, when Joab saw that the battle was set against him before and behind, that is, they're surrounded, okay, by the enemy, he says this, he chose out all the choice of Israel and put them in array against the Syrians. So Joab takes the top of the military. They're all great. They're all mighty men, but he takes the best because he thinks that the Syrians are going to give him the most trouble. So he says, we're going to go after Syria. We have to focus on one army. So he's going after the Syrians, and the rest of the people he delivered unto the hand of Abishai his brother, and they set themselves in array against the children of Ammon. So the two major forces are Syria and the Ammonites. Joab says, I'm going to take on the Syrians. Abishai, his brother, all right, these are both David's nephews, said, you take the Ammonites, okay, we're going to fight that way. This is going to be our strategy. And he said, if the Syrians be too strong for me, then thou shalt help me. That is, if you can see that I'm losing the battle to the Syrians, Abishai, you have to give up going after the Ammonites, and you got to come and help me. All right, that's the directions of the general. And he also goes to say, but if the children of Ammon be too strong for thee, then I will help thee. Then if I can see that you're getting pushed back by the Ammonites, then I'm going to peel off some of my guys from fighting the Syrians, and they're going to help you. So either way, you have to be prepared to divide your forces to help your brother in this, all right? Because they're surrounded. There's these gigantic armies, and the Israelis just put themselves in array. They have a scheme, a plan of how they're going to do it. It's laid out right here. All military men, great military men, are first great military thinkers. I mean, they know how to do it and then how to move men to accomplish the task, and that's what you're hearing here from Joab. And of course, David is at the helm of all of this, but Joab is the one that's making the calls. He says this, and then he says this in verse 13, be of good courage and let us behave ourselves valiantly for our people. Yeah, there's a military guy. We know we're up against it, but let's just get in there and give it to him. That's what he's saying. He's calling him, he says, to behave ourselves valiantly, courageously, boldly. I mean, we're here and we're in the midst of it and we're up to our neck in trouble, but we are the Israeli army and we're going to behave ourselves valiantly in this huge battle that we're about to enter into. He said, we're going to behave ourselves valiantly for our people and for the cities of our God, and let the Lord do that which is good in his sight. That is, we're going to entrust ourselves to the Lord and we're going to dive in. We have a scheme, we have a plan. And we're just going to go in there and we are going to do what we do best because we're military men. We're going to take it to the Ammonites, the Syrians, and these mercenaries that they hired. It says, so Joab and the people that were with him drew nigh before the Syrians unto the battle, and they fled before him. Why? Why do the Syrians flee? They already, and this is why, they already got their money. They're hired. How is giving your life worth it for the Ammonites after you already got paid? You got paid. You're not going to win. When they looked across the field and there's Joab and the mighty men of Israel, and Joab is now saying we're going to take it to them. They were scared out of their wits and we're not going to lose their life just because the Ammonites hired them. It says, and they fled before him. I mean, there's not even anybody to fight, all right? You never know what's going to happen when you look across the field at that army. Are you going to stand your ground or are you just going to run for the hills? And the Syrians have no vested interest in this. They got hired, all right? Anyway, and when the children of Ammon saw the Syrians were fled, they likewise fled before Abishai, his brother. And so when they say, we don't have anybody to help us, now the Ammonites are gone. So you got the whole Israeli army out there, and the Syrians run for their lives, and the Ammonites, seeing that their money for the mercenaries hasn't paid off, now they're running. It said, and entered into the city, and Joab came to Jerusalem. And it says in the Syrian, verse 16, and when the Syrians saw that they were put to worse before Israel, they sent messengers and drew forth the Syrians that were beyond the river, and Shopach, the captain of the host of Hadarezer, before them. So there's the Syrians that are there just north of Israel, and there's others that are in the east. Okay, and it was told David, and this is another. No fight goes on here. The Syrians are going to try to get reinforcements. And it was told David, and he gathered all Israel and passed over Jordan. That is, he's going east now over the Jordan River. Okay? He's on that side of the Jordan River. He said, and came upon them and set them in battle in array against them. So when David had put the battle in array against the Syrians, they fought with him. Now, here's the first battle. The other ones, they just ran. Here, the Syrians think because these two factions of the Syrian nation or of that tradition have gathered, David says, no, we're going to take it to them. And now the battle is actually unfolding here. He said, but the Syrians fled before Israel. That is, after they start the fight, they run too again with this big army. And David slew of the Syrians 7,000 men, which fought in chariots. You see, they're in an open, if you're in an open plain, a chariot is a good idea. You cannot defeat David. He has a way to defeat these guys, even if you're in a chariot, driven by horses. All right? Chariots and horses back then would have been like Abram tanks in those ancient days, like the Egyptian army. The idea of chariots, because you're riding in the chariot, you're throwing spears from chariots. It's a stable platform where you can shoot bows and arrows and slings. And you could drive over your army with a horse, and with a chariot, you can just run them over. But that doesn't matter. Not with the army of Israel. The army of Israel is just, I mean, God's hand on it, but the genius of David and these military men at this time, these even with chariots, they could not be overcome against a force that is very powerful. He says, and the Syrians flew before Israel, and David slew of the Syrians 7,000 men that fought in chariots, okay, the ones that fought in chariots, and 40,000 footmen, and they killed Shopach, the captain of the host. They killed the general. All right, terrible defeat. All right, and then it goes on to say, and when the servants of Hadarezer saw that they were put to the worst before Israel, they made peace with David. That is, what do you do? The king of the Syrians says, what are we going to do? I mean, you either make peace or he's just going to kill us all. All right, and that's what happens. So the battle is over. The king meets David, all right, on the battlefield, and he's got to yield himself now he's a loser, all right? And he said, and became his servants. That is, now the Syrians are his tributaries too. Neither would the Syrians help the children of Ammon anymore. Yeah, we're not fighting with Ammon anymore. There's no way. I mean, they are not the guys we wanna line up with. Okay, not the Ammonites. Okay, not going to lose my life for them. But that is again all of chapter 19. All right, this great battle against these armies as they come. But when they see what they're up against, they run until the last part here. The Syrians are trying to get even, but even then it doesn't work. All right. And then we have chapter 20 is coming up. You got to be here tomorrow for chapter 20. I'm just going to give you a hint, but you need to be here for chapter 20 because it's a very, very interesting chapter. All right. You're gonna understand what I mean when I say that the chronicler it's the inspired word of God, but looks at David from an entirely different angle. All right, that's what we're going to see. All right, well, the Lord bless you. You have a great day, and I guess that's it. Tonight at 6 o'clock at Peter Van Cleek Ministries on YouTube, it will be our fourth session of our canonicity class. All right. Okay, so I hope you can make that as well. All right, we'll see you. Bye.